Hello, my name is Rizal. I'm 24. I'm a public policy analyst and I am a member of the Youth Policy Center.
Hello, I'm Isabel. I'm 23 and I study law, and I'm a member of VU. And today we're gonna play the red green flag game.
The minister holds a TikTok Q&A session to engage young voters.
Can I hold the book? Okay.
Yes.
So, which one did you write?
I chose green. I think it's a green flag.
Okay.
I would say that it's a green flag because you're engaging the youth in a way that corresponds to their age group. So I think it's an innovative way of reaching out to your younger voters, or maybe reaching out to your younger voters. Yeah.
Okay. I chose both of them because I feel like I agree with you, which is why I chose the green one. But I feel like it can easily fall under performative actions where the politician would just be pretending that they are closer to youth, that they are trying to reach out to them through TikTok by engaging with them, etc. While the whole Q&A session might have been prepared even before and they're only answering specific questions that their team prepared. Or maybe even the language that they're using, even if it's spontaneous, the language that they're using and what the youth want and what they're asking about is not being answered in the first place. They can be asking them about youth programs, and then they would be asking about this huge project that they would have about water or something, just trying to promote their agenda without necessarily listening. So anything that is innovative, social media wise or TikTok specifically, can be used to just give this image that we are trying to be innovative and that we are doing things for youth while they're not doing anything new. They're just repeating the same things, the same structure, the same language, everything that they were doing outside of TikTok in TikTok, and in the end, it's not being productive.
Just a short comment. I agree that maybe it is exactly the same way as if you made this Q&A in another form that's more traditional. But that is exactly what they're doing. It's more like a developed way of doing this traditional form of communication with your voters or with the citizens, but where it corresponds better to the society we are in today, and how the voters, how you get the most out of like the way you get the most out of interacting with voters. So I definitely see it as a green flag, but I do see from your point of view a lot of great points.
A government suspends youth protests citing public safety concerns during an election season.
Red flag.
Red flag, yes. Of course, I see it as a red flag and a huge problem if a government tries to make it, like, is trying to minimize the chances of a group of people to assembly and speak of what they think, especially in a time of election where um, the voters are about to, or the citizens are about to vote for the politicians that they want to represent them. Besides that, also to see a government restrict the citizens' freedom of speech and the right to assembly is, of course, fundamental rights as humans. So, of course, I see that as it's extremely critical of a government to do, especially in a time of election. So, a red flag if there's no legal reasons for them that a court agrees with to restrict this assembly, then of course I see it as a red flag.
I said that it's a red flag because I think during election season, you would expect to find youth in the street trying to advocate for the political parties. And I think in this case, ones that would be advocating for human rights, ones that would be more on the socialist side, ones that would be kind of freer in their mindset, that would generally tend to be against what the government is trying to do, especially if it's a government that has been holding on to power for a really long time. So election season seems like a critical time to want to shut down any voices that would be against the government. And I feel like any government who is shutting down any youth protest during that period of time, well, wants to censor them and wants to sway the public opinion against what the youth are protesting. In the end, this would affect the election results.
A youth activist accepts funding from a multinational corporation known for questionable ethics.
Both.
I'm not completely sure if I'm a red flag or like in between. Well, probably not a green flag.
Okay, for me it's red.
Mm.
I feel like being a youth activist and accepting funding from an MNC has very questionable ethics makes you a person with questionable ethics, especially if you're part of the woke influencers. And this is a very specific category of activists that are present online and they keep advocating for freedom of rights, etc. But in the end, you find them doing ads for L'Oreal or for specific brands that are not necessarily ethical. And in the end, they right after in the second reel, they tell you, oh, you should boycott, you should do this, you should abide by these rules that they invented and they created.
Mm.
And you are put under the microscope, even if you are not getting a huge funding, you are just living your life as a normal person who is not engaging in lots of consumerism, while they get to act like the police of ethics and the police of human rights while they're not respecting what they're talking about.
Mm. Well, of course, I think that politicians should stand by everything that they do, and of course, there should be transparency when it comes to funding. And I think if a politician should be able to stand by the company that is supporting them through funding, so it raises a red flag if the ethics are not quite right, and the politician in other ways show that they're not agreeing with this country's ethics, then of course it raises a red flag that that they get funding from this company.
A politician spends more time posting on social media than visiting communities, but the posts bring real youth issues to light.
Green flag. Bo?
Okay. Yeah.
So of course, as I said earlier, I think that social media can be used in a way to engage and communicate with your voters and with the citizens. So I think it's an innovative way of engaging and with your voters. At the same time, meeting with a politician in real life, it does have a value that is very hard to replace by social media and by communicating, engaging over social media. So I think it is a tool that is very good. But at the same time, it is important to have real life contact with your citizens and with the voters, which really gives a good, it's really important. Though we can also see that youth are more present online, and it's more easy to get in touch with these voters, this section of voters online. So if you can use social media to get more in touch with this group of voters instead of meeting them in real life, because it can be more difficult, then of course I see this a good way to connect with them.
I see it more as a red flag than a green one, because I think it only takes one Google search to know what the real issues of youth are. And posting them on social media does not really make you, like savant or someone who is revolutionary. And if you take more time and if you pay so much attention to what your image looks like on social media, but in the end you're just hiding behind doors and not doing anything about it, or at least meeting the people who are concerned, and in this case maybe just at least pretend to want to learn, this is a red flag for me. Because in the end you're just replicating the top bottom approach of you just, okay, these are the issues, we're gonna solve them, but you don't know the specificity of the context, you don't know what people are actually living, and you're just replicating what lots of other people said.
I think that speaks a lot to what I said also about that you cannot completely replace the like meeting your voters in real life. So yeah, I also get that point of yeah.
A rapper becomes a political voice for youth, but later appears in a government-sponsored ad campaign.
I don't know if I would say it's a green flag, but I'm not seeing it completely as a red flag.
I have a couple of names that come to mind, especially from the Moroccan context and the Egyptian one, since I've lived there for the past year. Um, I feel like that is a very huge red flag because the moment that you become sponsored by the government, you really sell your image, and your words become very different. And you can feel it in the lyrics and how the person is becoming more polished, and they try to, like soigner l'image, like take care of their image more, want to censor themselves in a way. They're talking about things, they're still talking about youth issues, but they're kind of circumventing what the cause is. They wouldn't say that the government is the cause. They would just say, oh, youth, we're still living in unemployment, but it's not the government's fault, because they cannot say that anymore.
So you say that the government bought the rapper, like it would be a way for the government to buy these kind of people. Okay.
And I think it's also a tactic from the government to, like act and pretend to be youth oriented and youth involved. And that's why they want the rapper in the first place, because it's someone who appeals to youth. They want youth to vote for them, and they would give lots of money to that rapper, but in the end they cannot point fingers at them because we're the ones giving you the money. So you cannot say that we're the bad people.
Yeah. I think you have a lot of good points, and I also see it from your perspective. And also, I can see it definitely from your perspective. I wouldn't say I completely agree that it's a red flag. It's not something I would think, oh, this is very, very bad. But I see it from your perspective, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for watching.